Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sean Payne, co-host of the Live Explore Build Better podcast. I have my co-host with me today, Isaiah Chass. Isaiah, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
And we have a great podcast today. I have Becca Lipsky of the Beal Group talking about the Livery on Main out in Sebastopol. Cool project coming up. Becca, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about what is the Beal Group? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Beal Group is basically the administrative engine that runs a family of companies, and it's built on a shared services model. And so we provide the administration, all the operations, facilities, legal, HR, IT, everything, so that each of our subsidiaries can focus on what they love, what their passion is. Right.
So on that note, let's jump in. What is the Livery on Main then? So yeah.
Sure. So the Livery on Main is a food hall project that we're developing in Sebastopol, and it started with Greg. Well, we're very passionate about Sebastopol. We all live there. We all work there. Our kids go to school there. And Greg really saw a need in the community for a gathering spot. And he also really loved the idea of providing experiences for the community. And it started just as a concept of a food hall, but as time progressed, it morphed. And COVID happened during the time that we were planning for it, but it really has become a project to support local chefs and local artists and makers, while providing a really great experience for the community. Yeah, so it's a food hall. It's a bar. It's some flex space for performances and event venue, and then we're adding a roof deck to the third level of the building. That's awesome. That'll be amazing. Sebastopol just doesn't have that.
Right. We need more roof decks.
Yeah, we do.
We
We
definitely need more roof decks.
Yeah,
that's really cool. So again, just kind of like back up a little bit.
Yeah.
You guys, so you have like a local provider there that wants to, or local chefs like that. You give them like all the back end support in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you help them out, because that can be like really intimidating. I mean, scalability just wise, like that's really cool that you guys do that.
Yeah.
But that can be super intimidating for someone that, like, where do you start? Right?
Yeah.
So
right.
Especially when your expertise is being a chef and perfecting the food itself. And then at the same time, you have to think about how to scale a business, point of sale, everything. Taking off their hands is huge.
Yeah. Well, that was really part of the core of the idea. I mean, the Beal Group was built on the shared services model.
Okay.
And what we have been able to do with our companies is we have the architecture firm, we have the general contracting firm, and because we have a single group of we're pretty lean,
right? But
we've got some very excellent people on the team that are providing these back office services, and so it brings the overhead costs down for all of the subsidiaries. And we had been doing that for a number of years before we had this idea about the food hall, and so we wanted to take that shared services model and extend it to a food hall. And so really we would be building out the micro kitchens, and all that chef would need to do is come in with their food and their tools, and start doing what they love, cooking. Right. And we provide the point of sale, we provide the shared busing, just a lot of shared services, so they can just walk in and just do what they love.
Right.
We did this in a lot of ways as a reaction to COVID, because we saw brick and mortar restaurants failing. it was unsustainable.
Right.
And for us to be able to provide, this venue for chefs to come in and be able to practice what they love to do, and also give this experience to our community. And there's a lot of outdoor space that's been designed into this project. And that was, obviously a response to COVID as well.
Right.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, it really does give a chef who maybe only had a food truck, and they want a brick and mortar. It's their first step, into that.
Right. Yeah. Did you have like just to dig? Was it something that you just created, or did you have like local chefs come to you and be like, "Gosh, if we had something like this, that this would be," or like how, like,
right.
or was it just like kind of, "Hey, we should do this"? Like what was it?
Well, Greg really liked the idea of a food hall concept. Just for the community. He felt like that was a really good thing for the community. So it started there.
Right. Okay.
And it started.
So it really was from his idea. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was like another experience there, but no, he like organically was like, hey, we should have this here.
Yes.
That's very
absolutely.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about the co-work space? How did that get intertwined? Was that from the beginning, or as the project evolved, that component got added in after the fact?
It's interesting. So we actually know Danielle of Keller Street Co-work, and at the time, I think the future of Keller Street for a minute was unsure, and so we started to talk to her, and we actually really got jazzed about this idea of a co-work. And it wasn't part of the original concept, but we had some second floor space that at the time we thought that would be a good spot. And we really liked the idea of building this community that, would also be a built-in clientele.
Right.
So Danielle actually came and consulted with us for a little while to develop this idea of the co-work. During that time, the building next door, we had told them a long time prior, hey, if you ever want to sell this building, will you call us? And at the time, they didn't want to sell it. But then, a year later, they called us. And so that building that is now operating as a co-work, totally plug and play. It had fiber internet right outside. And it's funny because I can be a very practical and linear thinker. And I was just thinking about the facility, and how to create a really great facility for our coworkers. Great internet, clean, modern, lots of light, places to focus, meeting rooms, etc. And what I didn't really anticipate was just the awesome community that we've built there. And so we've got over 40 members now, and it's just awesome, and it's really great. And they're all jazzed about the future of the project opening next door. So,
yeah, I mean, I could totally see them being the first customers of a food hall.
Exactly, and we have opened Goldfinch, and the coworkers are constantly going to Goldfinch, so definitely at play there. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about like the coworkers that you have there, like who's, without getting super specific, like who's like really kind of come there, and I'm sure they're pretty, like as I said, pretty excited about it.
Yeah, definitely.
But can you tell us a little bit more about like that atmosphere and who you're attracted?
Yeah, so one of the first people to even walk through the space before we had furniture in it is a guy named Jake Viramontes, and he has a nonprofit that he started called SOWN. It's storytelling for social good, and basically he is a filmmaker, and his mission is to give away his films to nonprofits around the world to help them raise money. And it's really inspiring. So we just love Jake. He's super inspirational, just a really good guy. So we actually made a deal with him that he could have the biggest office for a very reduced rate.
Yeah.
We'd kind of share that office. It's also a meeting room that we rent out, and then we give him or his nonprofit, we split the proceeds with him. So we're really into supporting, folks that are doing interesting and cool things.
Right.
But he's just one. He's also our resident storyteller, so we work with him on a lot of our messaging and things like that, which is really cool.
Right.
And he does some videography for us for Goldfinch that we use for social media and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, we have such a wide variety of folks there. We have marketing consultants, we have screenwriters. We have people that work in tech. A lot of folks moved up from the Bay Area, from San Francisco and Oakland during the pandemic. And it was super interesting because I thought to myself on several occasions, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? We're creating a co-work in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody wants to work in the same room. But the timing of when we opened it was perfect because all of those tech workers and people who had moved up, they're working at home, they have kids, they can't focus.
Right.
All of a sudden, everything's opening up. It was really perfect timing. So it was, just a great group of people.
Yeah, I would think that some people are really looking for that too. I mean, you have people that like working from home, but I think there's people that were that's what you're saying is that people there are like, gosh, I like being around people and that synergy and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So your project's really evolved over time. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of walk through how it's progressed and kind of your timeline from here on out that way? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So let's see. We bought the main livery building in 2019. And that's actually kind of an interesting story because that building used to be the Round Table Pizza that a lot of people who grew up in Sebastopol or lived there a long time know about. So the owner of that building approached us to do design for them because they were wanting to do some tenant improvements. It was like tenant improvements. Sorry. So they hired us to do some design for them. And it soon became really clear to Greg that this, out of town, building ownership really, they wanted to do the least amount of work possible to move in a salon or something. Mm-hmm. And he felt very strongly that that's not what we needed.
Right, not a great fit there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So he begged the owner for a while to sell him the building. Uh-huh. And they created such a personal connection between the two of them that owner bought out his partner and then did a seller finance deal to Greg with really, really great terms.
That's unheard of.
That is totally unheard of.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And it was really all about the relationship.
Huh.
So that was in 2019. Huh. We immediately began the process with our design firm, Builder Studio, to start designing this project. It's about 12,000 square feet as it stands. And our plan would be to add that roof deck, so it would be about 20,000 feet at the end of the day.
Wow.
So, yeah. So as far as the timeline, it took us quite some time to get through design review in Sebastopol.
Right. Yeah, that's one of our next questions. The challenges.
Yeah.
Do you want Isaiah? Yeah.
I mean, just from a development standpoint that we see on the local jurisdiction level, without getting too deep into that, there's so many hurdles from an entitlement process, planning, zoning, just getting it to the approval stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alone, without supply chain issues, build costs, etc. I'd imagine there's all the above.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, in changing the use of a building, that can be challenging. there's structural upgrades that needed to be, included in the design just because of the change of use. But design review was probably our biggest hurdle, especially during COVID, because the meetings would get postponed or whatever, and it was like they had to do them by Zoom, and it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, so it was kind of a bit of a chaotic time.
Right. Everyone's tensions were high at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
How was like the community feedback at that? Was that part of the? I mean, I know that can be kind of difficult as well sometimes because design is so subjective that you're not going to be able to make everyone happy that way. So
interesting. We actually didn't get a lot of pushback. The design that we came up with, there used to be a livery, with, a horse stables, on that corner, and so we actually took historical photos and looked at what was there a long time ago and incorporated some of that into our design. And it's a really nice blend of brick and wood and stucco. And there was just a lot of thought put into it.
Right, especially like a local architect. Having a local architectural component too is makes things kind of nice that way too.
So we didn't get a lot of pushback. We did in the very beginning. Well, this is a community project and a community revitalization project. And so in the very beginning, we really wanted to get the community involved. And so we had an equity crowdfunding campaign for the business that was, that is the food hall management company that we created.
Okay.
That business is called Farm to Coast Collective.
Right.
And that is basically, I guess you would say, the Beal Group for the food hall. Okay. So basically managing all of the, different services in there. So we created a WeFunder account and tried to get, some community engagement and actually offered equity in the business as a, part of that. And we ended up raising about $130,000 through the equity crowdfunding, which was pretty amazing. It allowed us actually to start the co-work and get that up and running.
Right.
And also, helped open Goldfinch as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great community response. I was curious when you said that. I was like, just had numbers going through my head, and that was much higher than what I would have thought that way.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It was great.
So kind of just talking on like the community side. So it's been a community project that the support has continued to be good that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, definitely. Everybody is always asking, when is it going to open?
Right.
And people are really jazzed about it. Yeah. And I think, for a while, I don't know that we did a very good job of getting the message out that we are local and that we care about the community and we're not just some outside developer coming in.
Right.
But I think that message has gotten across a lot better lately, so that's good.
Sure.
On a community level, being that it sounds like the community is so involved and engaged and excited about it. Previously we spoke about how the co-work spaces create a sense of community. Can you talk a little about what the space as a whole has brought to the community and how it's created a space for people to come to and interact? And I'd assume that a lot of people, part of the co-work, are probably residents of Sebastopol, so maybe they walk down or bike down.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely true. We have, I would say, all of them live in Sebastopol, and come because there are co-work spaces in other cities, but we're only one of two co-working spaces in Sebastopol. The other one being a lot smaller. Yeah, actually, what was I going to say? The co-work, all of the folks that are in the co-work, we have networking events there where we highlight a co-work member, and we do that every month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really fun to get together with the coworkers and just have fun for a change,
Totally.
Yeah.
And it creates a sense of community in a town that is somewhat centralized. I mean, there's no housing downtown, but there is so much of downtown is walkable and
Yes.
within, a couple minutes of each other. So it's great being able to get people, all in one place and creating that community around it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and the co-work is right across the street from the biggest parking lot in Sebastopol. And the co-work obviously is next door to the main livery building, which is still, it's still on pause. We haven't started construction. We just did a little demo under a demo permit, but that's on pause. And then around the corner on the other side is the Goldfinch, which opened in this year, actually, in April of this year. So it's been really cool, the co-work opening up in, 2021, 2022, really kind of getting traction in 2022. And then being able to open Goldfinch in 2023, sort of building that momentum. And it is really cool because a lot of the chefs that we talked to early on that were, they'd signed letters of intent to be in the Livery when it opens, sadly they weren't able to wait for us just because of how things have gone, but they all ended up in Sebastopol, which we're so happy about because they were ones that we were curating the space, to bring chefs that we really thought would be a good addition to Sebastopol. Right. So, like for instance, Lunchbox, they were going to be in the Livery, and then East West Cafe became available, so they hopped on that, and we were super stoked for them. And Cozy Plum is another one that we wanted to have in the Livery, and they had signed an LOI, but then that space next to Whole Foods, I don't remember, Slice of Life, that became available, and Cozy Plum went in there. And we're super supportive of that because, these are all folks that we had been, trying to pull into Sebastopol, right. And now they're there. So that's amazing. We talked to the folks that opened Redwood, the organic wine bar, we talked to them early on. Now they are down the street. So yeah, it's just cool to be, to feel like we've had a part.
And a little bit of the revitalization that way. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, downtown Sebastopol is just hopping. It's really great. Such a great scene.
It's come a long ways.
It totally. And Goldfinch really raised the level, I think, there too. I mean, K&L obviously loved K&L Bistro. They were there for over 20 years, and I think they were a hard act to follow, but I think Goldfinch really stepped up.
Certainly. I think no matter what town it is, in order to attract so tourism and more people, is you need elevated dining experiences, and Goldfinch definitely brought that.
Yeah. Have you been there?
I haven't yet, but everyone I talk to, friends included, as well as people I meet, they all rave about it. I've been meaning to go, but everyone I talk to about it has incredible reviews.
Yeah. Goldfinch, Nick and Deanna came to us a really long time ago, right when we first started developing the Livery. And they came to us and they wanted to start something. And we actually ended up hiring Nick Izzarelli of Goldfinch to be the food and beverage director for the whole project. He had been with Starks for 20 years.
That's what I was going to ask you about that, because I heard that the team came from Starks, but I didn't know if that was accurate or not.
Yeah. So we hired Nick on, and he was helping us to develop the food hall project. Then in October of last year, when the interest rates just started going up and up, we actually had a construction loan to get started, but then our lender pulled out, and so we had to put a pause on the main building. But that Goldfinch building where K&L Bistro was, where they had been, came up. And K&L, Karen and Lucas, actually came to us. They really loved what we were doing. They were like, oh my God, it's amazing. If we didn't have to have 30 people on the staff to open every night, we'd be so stoked. It was so hard for them during the pandemic that they came to us and they were like, you know what, we're done. We want to retire. Do you guys want to buy the business and the liquor license? And we're like, okay, yeah, we'll find a way to do that. But we really want to buy the building too, because it only makes sense if we can do that. So we, there was 2 deals that were going concurrently, buying the business and the liquor license and then buying the building. And luckily, that all happened and we were able to create the space for Nick and Deanna and their partners, Christopher and Rodrigo, to actually open Goldfinch, even though we had to put the main project on hold. And so, and it is a shared services model with them. I mean, we're providing the point of sale, we're providing the bookkeeping and marketing services. It's a little bit of a scaled down from what the food hall is going to be, because they don't need as many shared services because it's more of a standalone business. But it's been really awesome working with them and putting these systems into place. It's kind of a good beta test for the main project.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you say you had a small team? Gosh, it seems like you guys...
Yeah, we do.
A lot of hands in the fire.
Well, yeah, I think I'm kind of a startup junkie. Like, I came from that world.
Okay.
And so I am not satisfied unless I'm,
You're okay with working
something.
Weekends?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
But no, the team is
I really
awesome.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Getting back to the rooftop area,
Yeah.
what is that? What has to happen to? Where is that at? So.
Well, I mean, the whole building right now is vacant.
Uh-huh.
And has been demoed to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And, really at this point, we're on indefinite pause just because of the financial state of things.
Yep.
The money is too expensive right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, if our goal is to support the local chefs and makers, the more we have to spend, the less it's supporting them,
Sure.
Because, at the end of the day, it has to pencil, right?
Right.
And so, luckily the deal is so good that we have with the seller financing that we're able to float that building, and and also because we have so many other things going on. We've got the design and the construction, and Goldfinch is up and running in the co-work, and so we're able to kind of carry that building. But ideally we would love to find an equity partner that wants to get in on the real estate and be part of this project with us.
Right.
And for us, the right partner is important, just because it is so local, so much a community project that we wouldn't, we're really looking for someone local who's passionate about this, our town,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, very cool. Very cool.
Are there any other projects that the Beal Group as a whole is working on, or any of the subsidiaries? Development-wise, I guess?
Well, I mean, so Thrive, being a general contractor, the focus for Thrive is really residential design build projects. And so 99% of the work that Thrive does is, residential. Remodels and additions mostly, but we do also ground-up construction. And Greg always he's a visionary, so he always has ideas for what's next. And so, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to overpromise or whatever. Because we have a lot of ideas, and there are other buildings and other projects that we're looking at right now. But again, the state of the economy is definitely giving us pause at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of challenges right now.
Yeah.
Well, cool. If there's any further questions or someone wants to learn more about Livery, what's the best way that they can get in touch or stop in and learn about it?
Definitely. Well, we're at the co-work from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and that's at 6940 Burnett Street in Sebastopol. Or you can email us at info@thebeal.group. And I don't know if I need to spell that or...
No, we'll take care of that.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Well, Becca, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about that about the project or anything like that?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I would say, if there is a potential equity partner out there that is listening,
Sure.
This is a really interesting deal and a really great investment.
Right.
We actually have a pretty amazing appraisal from Cushman and Wakefield on this project, and so we're just really excited about it. We're excited to get it going. We have more letters of intent from chefs than we have space.
Yeah, a lot of community support. I mean, that's so important on a project like this, because it can really make or break it. So you have the community behind you, so it looks like an opportunity. Yep.
Definitely. And then, with the co-work already up and running and with Goldfinch doing so great, it's really that'll be the icing on the cake. If we can get this main livery building up, especially that roof deck, man, that's the crowning jewel there. It's really going to be amazing.
Yeah, it could be a really cool project.
Yeah, and we have the permits ready to be pulled right now. We could hit the ground running. Just a matter of money at this stage.
Right. Well, if someone's listening to this and you are interested in this project, please reach out to Becca or the Beal Group, and we can see this to fruition, because that would be really cool that way.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know personally it'd be fun to watch this project come through, and at some point we'll come out there and check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope you do.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us today. If you like this episode, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. So, Becca, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
See you guys next time.
Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.